Hey everyone, in this customs loot guide video, I show you every high value spawn on the map, and a lot of them are in places you do not expect. So keep an eye out for some of those places you've been walking by without looting. And I also go through all of the areas where you can find those high value keys that can give you a lot of loot on some of the other maps. So let's go ahead and get into it. Here is a general list of items we can be looking for in this run. The S tier items have the most value per slot, followed by the A and the B. So this is just to give you a good indicator of what you should be picking up, just in case you are leaving some items that you think are cheap but are not. I will also leave a link to the website I use to grab this screen capture down in the description, so you can use this along with your runs on any of the maps, but also it dynamically updates as items get more expensive or cheaper, so it's always a good place to look to see what's valuable right now. Okay, so the first building we're gonna be looking at is the computer warehouse building next to the ZB11 extract, which is just right over there. So if you're coming in from the backside, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is there is a grenade case right here immediately to your left. So if you want to look for grenades, that's where you can find them. Across the room over from the grenade case is a technical supply crate. After giving the technical supply crate a search, there is also some loose technical loot that can spawn right here next to the supply crate. But after you looted the grenade case in the crate and the loot on the ground there's nothing else on the ground floor. So we're going to go ahead and go right up to the second floor, which is where almost all of the money is. This room right here is crazy. So immediately on our left, we have two jackets. We have a weapon box right here. We also have ration spawns that can spawn right next to the bed right here. Right here where this chainlet is can spawn all your valuable spawns. So your lions, your bitcoins, gold chains, rollers, anything like that. Very valuable items. And you have, on top of that, two PCs and an additional toolbox. And if you don't think that's crazy enough, you come out of that room, we have another toolbox as well as some loose technical items that can spawn all over the ground up here. So let's just say, as an example, you walk up into this room and you pull out like a GPU out of the computers, and then you grab like a lion or bitcoin from the wooden cabinet right here. You're walking out of this room alone with 800,000 rubles in like 2 minutes, maybe not even a minute of in-raid looting time. So this warehouse is absolutely crazy, and I highly recommend you loot here. So after we loot all those things, we're just gonna go out of this building the same way we came in, and we're gonna go on to the next warehouse. Just as we're getting to the next warehouse, I'd also like to point out that if you spawn in the compound, it's pretty safe to loot the computer warehouse, the next one we're going to. However, people will be coming here, so just be careful and just be alert, because at the start of the custom raid, the compound area is a little active in terms of PvP. There's a lot of gunfights that happen here, so just keep that in mind when you're looting these warehouses, especially at the start of the raid. But the next building we're at here is the smokestack building, or warehouse 7. So if we walk in this way, we have a dead scav as well as the military checkpoint key that can spawn right here. The key is average, but if you're looking to complete every single quest in the game, it could be needed for the trust regain from Therapist. We have a toolbox right here, as well as some loot that can spawn on these metal shelves. Next up, we want to check this staircase here. Go all the way up to the top, because at the top of this staircase, we'll find a green weapon box. And there's another green weapon box right there, and I'll show you the stairs that you need to get access to that one. Green weapon boxes are good. They're my favorite weapon box. I don't know if they have any increased chances to spawn anything, but I like to look in those ones specifically for armors and good weapons and things like that. But right here in the open blue cabinet, kind of in the middle of the warehouse, is a factory exit key, and that key is very valuable because you get access to some shortcuts on customs, and most importantly, you get factory extractions, which is huge because a lot of people like to extract cable in factory. But if you go up this staircase here and you walk just down to the end of that hallway, you can access that other green weapon box that you can kind of see right over there. There's nothing else you really need to worry about in this factory warehouse in the smokestack building, but I will say, if you immediately exiting that building from the opposite side, we have this blue van right here, and this blue van has a couple of cool things in it. We have 2 computers right here, and this used to be the case earlier on in Tarkov, at least in my experience, but these 2 computers used to have a much higher chance of spawning USBs. Maybe I just got lucky in finding them here, but if you're looking for USBs, you can also try this blue van. And of course, you get those GPU chances by looting these computers. So after we're done looting the car, the next place we're gonna go to is the repair shop warehouse, which is right here, which is just in front of the smokestack one and the blue van. Before we even enter the repair shop though, this is a spot not a lot of people know about. You can jump in these windows here, and there's 4 weapon boxes as well as loose loot to grab. So if you jump up here, I'm not sure what strength you need to get in to these windows, however. If you jump into this first room, there's a jacket, a weapon box right here, and a weapon box right here. As well, I believe there's some loose loot in this blue cabinet. So let's jump over and get into the next one. Here we are. And the next one, same deal. We have a weapon box right here, green one. And we have a weapon box right here, as well as some loose loot that can spawn in this corner. So always get that loot dot on the floor. So that is a crazy amount of loot just in those 2 little rooms there, and no one knows because you have to jump through the windows to get them. But let's go ahead and actually go into the building. So what we first notice once we go into the building is on our right side here, behind this truck. You can actually spawn in here. I believe the spawn is either on this side or right down there. You have some loose loot on the table here, as well as a lot of loose loot on these cabinets. You can get things like hardware items or weapon attachments. And in this blue cabinet as well, you can get a nice amount of weapon attachments. Same deal over here by the couch in this cabinet. Now let's go ahead and go upstairs because there's so much loot here. It's incredible. So this is the tech side. And on the tech side, where you see these HDDs and the power cord, you can spawn rare technical items like graphics cards. You have a computer up there, as well as some rare tech spawns on the green carpet as well. In this bathroom here, we have 1 jacket. And further down in this way, we have a toolbox and a whole array of technical spawns and hardware items. And this is also a really good spot to get green lithium batteries, which is used for the hideout. I've seen them on these shelves here. So toolbox, more technical items. We also get a med bag. That's a good little bonus. But keep your eyes peeled on these shelves for those green batteries. They're very nice. They're very, very good to find. We also have a duffel bag here. I always love to loot those for the Bitcoin's GPU chances you can get. And in this room, we have another duffel. We have some loose spawns on the bed. We have another jacket, and then we have weapon attachments on these surfaces here. All along here, you can get various weapon attachments. And that is it for this side. Now we go to the other upstairs area, which will be full of more technical loot and weapon attachments, even some rare spawns as well. So as we go up into the next building, immediately on our left, we have a rare spawn on this couch. You can get lions, bitcoins, and things like that, gold chains. Some loose ration spawns on the table. 2 jackets, which is always very nice for those keys. This room is full of weapon attachments and technical items, so you can get like your thermostats, your gauges, all sorts of weapon attachments on all these tables here, weapon attachments. A bunch of loose loot on these cabinets. And as well on this side, we have the same deal. We have a bunch of loose loot on these cabinets, on these surfaces here, and on top of these weapon crates. Once we're done with that section, we have the bathroom. Same deal here. Loose ration spawns on the bed here. Sometimes they can be littered throughout the ground. On this dummy right here, we have a roller spawn that can spawn on the wrist right here, and another valuable spawn for lions, bitcoins, and everything of the sort right behind him. So this building holds an insane amount of value. Down this way, you just exit outside. It just leads a staircase out. And here we have a few more loose spawns. So this building can also net you, like, if you get lucky, I mean 500, 800,000 rubles just from hitting all the good spots in there and getting some good RNG. So, and that's a common theme with customs. All these buildings have so many spawns, especially after the map was expanded. It's wild. So that will finish with the repair shop. So after we finish up with the repair building, the next place we're going to want to go into the compound is the depot, or the larger warehouse next to this choke point here. So this is a pretty big choke point on the map in terms of where players can kind of pass in and out of. There is a shortcut jump down on that side, but you need higher strength to get that. This building doesn't have that much good loot in it, but there is one good spawn I like to check, and then I'm kind of out of here. So we have one weapon crate right here, immediately to our right after entering the warehouse. And then on this desk, and this is the good spawn, we have the, I think it's called the MP11 military key. It vendors for around 100k right now, so it's not bad. Or sorry, I mean the flea market for around 100k. I think it's like 50k to therapist, but it's for a reserve room in one of the night buildings, and there's an intel in that room, so pretty decent if you're looking for that, or if you just happen to be in the warehouse. Along these two shelves here, you can get some hideout items and technical items like the water filter right here, which is nice. And same with the shelving back here in this corner. But after you loot that, you're done with the depot. So after we're done with the depot area, we're gonna go around the backside of the green train and head over to warehouse 3. Now there is a hidden stash right here in this little ditch. Well, it's a pretty big ditch on the way to the warehouse, so feel free to loot that up while you're going. And this warehouse doesn't have too much loot in it, only a few spots. So as soon as we enter and run around, if we take a quick left, right there in the corner is a weapon box. Over here in this direction, we have some shelving units, so you can get some technical spawns on the shelves, but I typically don't find that much loot there. And then we have a weapon box right here in the back next to these blue cylinders. So not the greatest warehouse. I usually skip this one, but if you want to loot that, now you know how. So the next building we're actually going to be going for is warehouse number 4. Now, there is a lot of loose items, loose technical items in this building, as well as some few weapon crates, but there is a valuable spawn in the basement, which not a lot of people know about. I will also point out, just as we're entering, is right here, it's even harder to see with the flashlight, is power. There's a power switch. It's good to turn this on because this power switch means you can extract under the skeletal building, which I will show you later in the video. But anyways, let's continue inside. Thank you. So inside here, there's nothing up there. I've never found anything up there at least, so I don't check that spot. But in here we have some loot spawns right in the back left corner right here. We have on the table, we have a jacket there, on these shelves, all up in here, and on these shelves here. As you can see, there's a motor there. And across from that, we have another shelf right here with a few loose item spawns, hardware items, things for your hideout can all be on there. And we have loose items that can be scattered throughout the ground, just all over these larger water containers. I'm not sure what those are, to be honest. But after we're done that, avoid the hole in the floor for now. We'll be going there later. We're going to walk into the next section of the building, which is down here. Once we're in here, the only thing we need to look for is there is a weapon box in here. I think it's just behind this box. Yep, there it is. And we have some weapon attachments on this box. After that, we want to go up this staircase. On this side with the containers, you can find some loot scattered throughout the ground. So just keep an eye out, get that loot dot on. It's easy with a flashlight, but I don't find too much on the floor. But heading up this stairs, we have a green weapon box just before the staircase. And then at the top, we have a table full of weapon attachments. And then we have another weapon box just back there. So this table, we have a few weapon attachments, not much this time. It is an offline raid after all, and a weapon box right there. You can grab some very nice hardware and technical items up here as well, just kind of throughout the floor. hard to see because of all these junk piles. Sometimes you can even find some ammo up here, water filters, things like that. But you also get a sick sight line to the skeletal building. So that's actually where we turn on the power for, because underneath that skeletal building is an extract, and you can see a lot of action from here. So it's always a good idea, maybe if you're in here, to just look around and see if you can catch any players rotating somewhere. You get a couple good shots on them for free, basically. Not a lot of people will immediately know where they're being shot from, because that window is pretty hard to spot. But let's go down here, because we have one more spot to check, which is the basement. So here we are in the basement. Let's go down this ramp a little bit to avoid breaking the legs. Now, once you get into the basement, all you want to do is run back down to the other end, and we will find a black weapon box. And next to the weapon box, there's actually a duffel bag, a few ration spawns and stuff like that. There's a vodka right there in the corner. And right here in the corner next to the weapon box is a value spawn. So this is where you might find like your bitcoins, your lions, and stuff like that. So don't forget to check that little spot there. It's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. Usually goes unchecked too, because it's kind of hidden away in a dark corner, like quite literally. So you'll be surprised what you can find in that spot. And now we're done looting Warehouse 4. After looting Warehouse 4, we're just on the back side of the building, near the back entrance. We just looted Warehouse 3 there. There's the ramp we just went down for reference, just in case you're lost. We're gonna head to the old gas station. So, let's go under this bridge with all these trains here. You can also go above it to get some good sight lines, but the first place we can look is this blue van. So this blue van has some random spawns around it. We have an IFAC just on the floor in front of it. We have a vodka here. I wonder if you can get a moonshine here. I don't know for a fact, but I have gotten a lot of vodkas, so I'm curious to see if I'll ever get a moonshine in that. But next place we have to look for is the green weapon box right here behind the chair and the sandbags. And once we get into the gas station, we have a little bit of an interesting situation that is kind of just on custom. So this table in the old gas station can basically just spawn any item in the game. You can get like slicks, you can get, you know, your good class 6 armors, you can get good helmets, you can get rare weapon attachments, you can get all sorts of goodies on these tables. I've even gotten some docs cases on this table. I don't know if you can get that anymore because of all the changes they made to finding cases in raid, but this time we have some weapon attachments and a vodka, not too bad. Just down there is the old gas station extract. If you have that open, you'll see the green flares out in the front here, so you'll know. Out the back side, there are two main things you want to look for. So there is the giving tree, which is very similar to the gas station. The giving tree can basically spawn almost any item in the game, including the rarest items in the game. I think even more so than inside the gas station, you can get things like your red key cards, labs cards, class 6 armors, guns, attachments, all sorts of fun goodies right there. So make sure you check this tree beside the med bag. Med bag's good if you're looking for meds. And in the back corner, another main thing we're looking for is a stash, just because stashes can also spawn some of the rarest items in the game, like your armbands and things like that. And once you're done looting all those areas, we are done looting the old gas station, and we're gonna move on to the skeletal building. So when heading to the skeletal building, you're gonna want to keep a few things in mind. This is a very common area to find PvP, just because if we look just from the railway here, you can see how kind of open things are. And players who are already in there might be looking on the second floor, looking out. But you can also be seen from like construction and a few other angles, especially that angle we talked about earlier. There's that sight line on the middle grounds here. But also the Scav boss Rashala and his minions can be in here, and they're laser beams. They'll laser you from a mile away, but I wouldn't be nervous at least to check it out. It's pretty safe when you're behind the trains to just peek around, look for movement. And if you don't see any movement, most likely the boss isn't there, because the boss, there's a total of 5 of them including the boss, and they're pretty hard to miss. I also want to point out along the way that we have a technical crate right here. Technical crates are good for your like electronics or hideout items, as well as some services down there by the truck that have some various loose loot like hardware and technical items as well. But let's actually get into the skeletal building now. So once we enter, the first place we can look is this room right here. I love this room. It's full of a bunch of rare ration spawns. You can get things like your sugars, your moonshines. You have a weapon box there, and you also have some ammo spawns that can spawn on these surfaces. So this is a great room, as well as a duffel. I always love duffels. They're my favorite. We have some ration spawns on the ground as well. And on top of most of the surfaces in this building, you can see an MRE right there. There's a lot of spawn just on the surfaces of stuff. So BP ammo box. If you look around, I'm sure you can find more things. But the next place we're going to look for on the first floor is this smaller room here. And this is a loot-packed room. It's crazy. You have electronics on this shelf right here. You have 2 jackets right here, great for keys. Then we have a weapon box. We have an assortment of rare ration spawns that can spawn on this bed right here. Milk conditioners are like 15-20k, and they're good for trading or bartering. Then we have on this bed right here a med box, as well as loose med spawns next to the med box. We have 2 weapon boxes. Then we have, I believe this is a medical crate. Yeah, a medical crate. And some more loose loot on the shelf. So this room is like crazy dense with loot. Next thing we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to run to the second floor. And on the second floor, we have this crate, I believe is a technical crate. So again, those are gonna be your hideout items. What the heck? I just saw those cans render in, and I thought it was a person, and I'm in offline mode, so that shook me. But we also have a med box right there. On those surfaces down there, they have some ammo spawns, so you can see some ammo spawns there and there, as well as some ration spawns and weapon attachments, all that sort of stuff. If you go across to the other side, we have more loot just on the surfaces of most things. This, I believe, is a medical supply box, so good for your meds, good for Salewas if you're looking for those, that sort of thing. Then if we cross this bridge onto the last side of the second floor, we have a ration crate right here. So the ration crate will be good for like your food, water, keeping those energy and hydration levels up. But also the main thing you want to be looking for in those is sugar, because sugar is extremely valuable, especially the later you get into wipe. Right now they're about 90k a piece because they're used to craft in the hideout. They're used to craft moonshine actually. These turrets you can actually get on if you want. I have like no experience with them. I like never get on the turrets, but this one's a grenade launcher, and now it's an MG. I have died to them though. Like I've seen players get on these and destroy me. It's hilarious. It's really good. But after you've checked out all of these spawns, I will show you one more spot, and that's the basement. That's the power exit I was talking about. So if you come to the backside of the skeletal building, and you run in here down into the basement, and this is one of the things the factory exit gate key is good for. It opens this door, which leads to an extract only if the power's on. So you always have this open, so no matter what, if you have the factory key and the power's on, you can use that extract. But after we've checked out all those areas, we are done with the skeletal building. Okay, so once we're done with the skeletal building, we're gonna head out the western side towards the crack house, which is just over there, and the mechanic shop. But first, let's loot the mechanic shop just because it's on the way. So same deal here. Again, when you're crossing, this area is pretty open, so just be a little cautious of players as you're traversing this part of the map. But here we are going into the mechanic place or the repair shop, whichever you want to call it. So as we walk in, the only thing we're gonna be really looking for is loot on these surfaces here, on these tables. You can get like weapon attachments and stuff like that. Not a lot this time, unfortunately, but up these stairs, there is a toolbox at the end, and on these surfaces, you can find more technical items. So not too much there, but you know, if you're walking this way anyway, might as well pass through it. As soon as you exit the mechanic building, just to the right, there's actually a tire with a stash in it. So might as well check that as well, right? We're gonna head to our left and go towards the crack house and away from old construction just for the moment. Now in here, there is I believe this is a technical supply crate, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, so a technical supply crate for more of those hideout items and stuff like that, electronics. And you can sometimes find some loose loot on top of these boxes, but I don't really pay too much attention to those. But finally, we have the crack house building, and this building is amazing, especially if you're looking for intel or meds. So as soon as we enter here, just to our right, there's some med spawns. You'll find them around this dead body or on this like shelving unit thing here, and you'll find a med case right there. If you go to the left, to the other door on the other side, we have shelves with more rare ration spawns. There's a sugar actually right there, so that's always amazing. We have some more spawns on this table, some loose meds. I don't know why we're picking stuff up now, but in this next room by the other entrance, there is a duffel bag right here. You can find some loose loot on here, and a lot of ammo can be found in these blue cabinets right there. I found a lot of like BP, BS, even BT rounds in there. That's pretty good. We have a jacket for keys. So always look out for those weapon boxes because a lot of people just ignore them completely. If you get a 120 round box of BT, I think BT is about 650, 700 a round right now. That's a lot of roubles when you sell a stack like that. In this next room, we have a duffel bag right here, some loose meds in the cabinets, as well as on the shelf here. You can find some weapon attachments, stuff like that. We have a dead scav here. I love looting dead scavs. They're full of things like your samples, your sample quest items, like your injectors. They can have ammo, armors, good meds, a bunch of fun stuff, even technical spawns. So I love looting them. And right next to his hand, actually, there's a gold chain that could spawn right there. I'm not sure if other high valuable loot can spawn there. I've definitely seen a gold chain. Maybe there's more, who knows? I'll definitely let you guys know as I look for it. In this next room here, we have a jacket on our right side. A bunch of more ration spawns can be on this table. We have a duffel bag. I love duffel bags. I'm sure you guys know this by now. And we actually have a rare value spawn in this cabinet right here. You can find things like gold chains. I've seen rollers in here. I haven't found a Bitcoin, but I'm assuming if I found gold chains and rollers as part of that same loot table. So you might even be able to find a Bitcoin in here next to this TV. So be on the lookout for that. And now we're gonna go upstairs. And this room right here, immediately up top of the staircase, is amazing. So we have some filing cabinets here. If you want to loot the filing cabinets, maybe you're looking for USBs or some labs cards, you can find them in there. All of these bookshelves back here are very good for paper, which you can craft intel with, or just intel spawns, even on the ground throughout all of these books. So it's very good to get your loot indicator on the ground, just to make sure you're not missing anything. But we already got some paper there. So look in all of these shelves. Those folders can really blend into the wood because it's almost the same color. So it might be very hard to see sometimes. We have all assortment of items here. We have some cleaners as well, some other hardware and ration spawns that can be found. Again, you want to make sure you're touching your loot dot just in case you might have missed something. But no intel this time. But this is an amazing area, and you can spawn here near the crack house. And if you do, I recommend you run up into this room really quickly, so you can see if you can shove intel up your butthole. But even if you don't, and you later on in the raid you're walking by a crack house to get to the RUAF roadblock or something like that, check this building, because I've been here throughout the last few minutes of a raid or even on a scav, and I went in there and none of those intel spots were looted, and I've gotten many intels doing that. Now that we're done with this room, we're gonna head into the bigger open medical area. And here you basically just want to look on all the shelves and all these services for a bunch of med spawns. They can spawn on all these counters, even on the floor in some of the piles here by the beds. You can find some med spawns on this shelving unit here, a bunch of more med spawns, and on these tables in the back as well. So a bunch of med spawns for you here. And This last room by the second floor door, just down this way, even more med spawns. You can find them all over the place on top of those boxes and as well as on these cabinets. So this is a pretty packed building full of loot. It will be a little hot. A lot of people come to this building first, like they spawn in. We have the guy who spawns here, then we have people who spawn down there toward the old gas station or just over by the RUAF roadblock across the ravine there, or the river, and they rush this way. So if you come here early raid, you might find a lot of PvP, because a lot of times people are trying to rush for those intel, especially if you're looking for the intel for the scav case. And I have a guide on that as well if you're interested. Just as we're leaving the crack house, I also want to mention before I leave the area that if you come to customs at night, this is where the cultists spawn, right outside of this entrance, beside with the stash by the tires. So if you're doing night loot runs on customs, just be aware that cultists spawn all in here. And soon I'll have a guide on how to kill them and how to loot them pretty easily, but just be aware that you can't just run through this area. In fact, it's very dangerous because cultists will seriously mess you up. And while we're on that topic, there's also one more fun little duffel bag right behind the blue containers here. It doesn't relate to the cultists at all, but you know what? I love duffels, okay? Anyway, another good spot to loot, especially on a scav, just because it doesn't get hit too often, is the second kind of construction building in the old construction site. So here we are in the middle of the old construction site. We're just gonna walk through to this building over here, the one closer to the blue crate that you can walk through to get into this area. Because up here, there is another technical supply crate, but there's also a good opportunity to get some sample items like your injectors, because there's a body up there that has a lot of those med spawns that not many people look at. So let's go ahead and walk up these stairs. If I look out here, we're kind of in the area where dorms and the bus station is. There's the bus station down there. But we have one technical supply crate right here. And if you just jump over to the end here, right where this body is, as well as some loose loot, we have a milk conditioner there. But we also have a morphine. There's an example of a syringe and an IFAK around this body. So this body is a good place to check in case you're looking for those sample quest items. We also have a web box, so that doesn't hurt to loot. I don't really have a distinct name for this building. I kind of just call it one of the construction buildings, but it's a nice place to hit. Usually people don't go up there and loot much, but also it gives you a good sight line on potential like PMCs and scavs around you. So it's not a bad spot to be. The only thing you gotta worry about is make sure that sniper scav up there is gone, and the sniper scav in the other construction site we just passed right there on the smokestack building is also gone, because you don't want to be shot by them. That can be a little worrying. But now we're done with the construction site. There's not much there. It's mostly just open ground. If you're looking for scavs, that's a good place to be. We're going to go ahead and go back to some of the places we missed outside of the compound on the eastern part of the maps. All right, guys, so now we're at the gas station, and there's a couple good things we want to check while we're here. The first one here is right by this ambulance. That's the way we just came from down the road towards construction. But the first place in this ambulance, on this seat back here, you actually have to jump into it, can spawn the Emercom medical key. And that key actually has a LEDX spawn on interchange, so it's a pretty good one to get. Going into the front of the gas station now, on the shelves and whatnot, all over this place, you can find various mechanical and ration spawns in this room as well, just on all these metal shelves. But here's a sweet place not a lot of people know about. Actually, two sweet places. First one, right here in this corner next to this like portrait, you can find the labs arsenal key, which is an amazing key on labs. Actually, it's not that expensive as it gets later into wipe, but if it's earlier in wipe, or if you're running through the gas station, the labs arsenal key right here. So don't forget to look for that spot. Next up, we're going to open this back room here as soon as I am able to. And first door on our left, right in this room, we have a duffel bag right here on the couch. But more importantly, right where this propane is can spawn a graphics card. So always come in here and check on the table next to the TV for that. We actually have a key for this next room. I believe it's the, let's check. The gas station office key will open this door. Pretty cheap key. It's not that expensive, so I recommend grabbing it. And on this desk, we can find all sorts of ration spawns and mechanical items, but we also get a safe out of this right here in the back corner. After looting this safe, one more spot I want to point out just before you head away from the gas station. Right outside the back entrance of the gas station in this white minibus, or actually this is a big bus. In this big bus, on the, if I run to the other end here, on one of these chairs, I'm not sure which one because I haven't found the key yet, but there is the Ollie cash register key, or is it the Goshan key? It's the Goshan key. So for the Goshan store where you can find all the food and interchange, you can unlock all the cash registers at the front of the store, which used to be an amazing money making method. It still probably isn't that bad because you can throw all the money into your security container as you do it. So if you're really down bad, cash registers aren't terrible. So along one of these seats there, you can find that key. You also need it for a quest, I believe, so I think you have to hand one in at some point. But after we're done with the gas station, there's one more place I want to show you before I head to the power station that is severely underrated, okay? So on this mound, let's just walk up to it. You see this white car right here? Just behind the gas station, kind of in front of the compound. If you open the trunk of this white car, you can get GPUs. GPUs and rare tech spawns can be in here. So let's give that an open. Nothing this time, but check the trunk of that white car. Now the next place we're gonna be looking at is the power plant. So here I am on Sniper Ridge here, just kind of overseeing the gas station, just to give you guys a good idea of where I am on the map. And there, just behind the gas station, is the power plant. So let's go up and head over there. The first place we're gonna wanna look is in this little white shack. Right there on the chair, you have another opportunity to get the Labs Arsenal storage key. So it can also spawn right here on the chair. You have a med box right there. Leaving the shack, we have a black weapon crate right there. We have a toolbox closer to this smaller trailer type unit. We have a weapon box in this bigger trailer, and this one's kind of hard to see, right? It almost blends in from a distance. And then we have one more weapon box, which is in between these two stone pillars right here, or concrete, most likely right here. But after looting all those things, that is it for the power station. All right, now it's time to finally tackle dorms. So the only reason why I would go to loot dorms is for the safes and the march room. Everything else you can basically find on other parts of the map that are less busy. I'm not the biggest fan of dorms PvP, but that's just my preference. So when I do come to dorms, let's talk about those safes. There are 3 in the 2nd story dorms, and there are 2 in the 3rd story dorms. So that's a total of 5 safes. And safes can spawn some pretty good items. Also, have a good chance of getting like USBs, for example, if you're looking for those for that quest. So the first 2 we're gonna find in dorms is room 110 and room 114. Let's go ahead. Here's 110, the one with the note on it, and 114. They're really across from each other, which makes this great. So let's go ahead and give this an open. These are pretty much the only dorms keys I carry. There's a safe right there. Then we have this one, 114. And then we have a safe there. You have a computer here as well, so you might as well check that out. And a med box, so that one isn't terrible. Then the next room we have to get to is 105, but we can't get there through this way. We have to go around through the side door, and then we can loot 105 as well. So let's go through the bottom floor side door, and then we can loot 105 as well. Open that up, and here's that safe there, and you have some ration spawns on the bed, and then you have some loose technical items that can spawn right here where the screws are. Other good things safe can spawn is just roubles. They can spawn any of the rare valuables like your lions, your bitcoins, your rollers. So anything in that value loot table, including USBs, can spawn in the safe, so it's pretty good. So now let's go into the 3rd story dorms for the next 2 safes. But there are 2 other spots other than the safes in the 3rd story that I would like to point out. In this room right by the door here, the front entrance, you have a chance of getting the factory exit key. So that's another spot. You can find that. And if you walked across to the right after entering, right here on the couch, right where the Zippo is, or the Zibbo, you can actually get rare tech spawns. I've seen GPUs there on the couch, so wouldn't hurt to look for that. I don't see it often. I've seen it one time, and it wasn't even me who got it. It was a buddy of mine who found it. So GPU can spawn right there on the couch. But the next 2 safes we're looking for are in 214 and 204, which are pretty much on opposite sides on the 2nd floor of the 3-story dorm. So let's give 204 an open there. It's the one right after the bed, so it's pretty easy to find. In here, this is the safe up here. So it's the same. It doesn't look like a safe, but this is a safe. That top part, and this is just a door you can open. I'm not sure if anything spawns in there. Haven't really found anything there. And we have some med spawns on the in the briefcase here. Now let's run all the way across to 214. Oop, I'm stuck. That right here, yeah, literally the last one with the broken 4. And then in here we'll find our last safe, which is right there. After you looted the 5 safes and checked for the factory key and that rare tech spawn, you're pretty much done, except if you have the marked key. The marked key is on the 3rd floor of dorms, of the 3rd story dorms, obviously. And all the way down here, the last door with all these symbols around it. What room is it? It's room 314. This is the marked room. I don't have a marked key. They're like crazy hard to get this wipe, especially with all the flea market changes. The marked room is kind of like the giving tree in a way. It used to be better. It was nerfed a little bit. You used to be able to find pretty much any case in the game in there, as well as all the expensive lab cards and streamer items and loot. They removed some of the cases from the loot pool, but you can find basically anything like your very advanced weapons, armors, ammos, rare value spawns like bitcoins, things like that. Very valuable items. You might still be able to get a documents case there. I'm not sure if they removed the documents case from the loot pool. I know they removed the med case you used to be able to get. You might still be able to get a holodilnic. I'm not too sure about that, but if you do have the marked room key for customs, that room could be a hit and miss, but it could also give you millions of rubles. So feel free to try that out. And last but not least, we have Big Red. Now, Big Red is a decent spot to loot even after you've done the customs office quests or the director's office quest, because there is a lot of PCs you can loot and there's some intel up there that not a lot of people know about. So upon entering Big Red, if you run to the back before we head into the office, if you run into the back, right about here, there is a weapon box. One weapon box right there. If you want to loot the weapon box, so you have a duffel bag right here. Now, let's head up to the office. The office is, you know, a densely packed, nice little place to loot. So up on top of these stairs, if we go ahead and give this an open, this is the director's office key. You need that for one of the early quest lines in Therapist. This first door, if we open it, we have one PC right there, a pack of armor spawn on the chair, one PC right there, another PC over here, and the duffel bag just over there. In the next room, it says breach, but you do not need a key for it. You can actually breach this one and kick it open. So let's go ahead and keep that open. Right here on the desk, we have an East 306 spawn. It's a key used on Shoreline, a very good key, mind you. It has a few rare spawns. It has 4 PCs, a DVL spawn, possible LEDX spawn. LEDXs are, you know, around 1 million rubles. So very good key to get if you see it on the desk there. We have a safe right here. And in this garbage can right here can be an intel spawn. Sometimes I've seen an MBSS backpack also spawn right here on the floor. And we have a jacket you can also loot if you like. I believe there's also some loose, like technical loot somewhere on this shelving unit as well, if you're looking for that. After we loot all of those things, we are pretty much done with customs. Now, just behind Big Red, we have like a storage unit. And back there, they have some loose med spawns. They have some loose technical items. But honestly, to my knowledge, there isn't a single rare value spawn in the storage unit at all. So you're much better off coming to Big Red, for example, or just going to one of the other places on customs if you're looking for loot, because you're not gonna find that great stuff back there in the storage area, and you'll also be taking time away from the other areas you could be looting, and players could be snatching up that loot. So I don't recommend going to this area for loot. You can find some scavs in there if you want to kill some scavs, and PvP over there is pretty decent, but not the biggest loot spot. Actually, just before we go, and before it gets too dark in this nighttime raid, well, this soon to be nighttime raid in customs, I do want to show you 2 quick spots just because I like to loot them sometimes. But in this little shack, Big Red just over there, so we have a weapon box on the floor right there, and we have a duffel bag right there. So there's a filing cabinet if you want. And then there's one more key spawn I do want to show you. So just exiting the shack into this like trailer park parking area. In this bus back there, the one closest to the big power line, there is a 310 spawn on Shoreline. It's a key. It's a pretty decent key. It's gotten nerfed over the times, but it's still a pretty good key. You get rare values in there, rare valuables like Bitcoin, Tetris, a bunch of that stuff, vases, all that sort of thing. Now we are actually done on the map with our customs guide. Well, guys, now you know every high value spot to loot on customs. I hope you found the video helpful, and if I missed anything, feel free to throw that in the comment down below to help me out and help some other people out. If you have any other video suggestions or things you want to know, feel free to put those down in the comments as well, or pop over to my Twitch channel where I can answer them for you live. I also just want to take this moment to say thank you so much for the support on the YouTube videos recently. It's been overwhelming. It's been crazy. So much positivity going around, so I really do appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.